Today in the crypto space, we see the market bleeding out Bitcoin right around $112,500, down approximately 2.5%. Ethereum also coming down pretty bad, down around 4,100, down approximately 7.5%. While the rest of the crypto space, these altcoins are deep in the red. As you can see, there's lots of fire sales to be had. And the question is, how low do we go? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, guys, I want to talk about a project, a lower cap project, of course, and that project is called Aethir. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here because, guys, we got a bit of a sell-off. As you can see, the total market cap did dip below the $4 trillion mark. This has been the biggest sell-off in the last little while, to be honest. You know, down approximately 4% in market cap is quite a bit, guys. You know, a lot of people getting wrecked at the current moment, unfortunately. Not us, of course, because last night on the live stream, unfortunately, we had to turn bearish. And we made it very, very clear. I made it very clear that the signs weren't looking good, that we needed to make sure that we understood that especially the top gainers in the last little while will definitely be looking to fill their imbalances below. We see the market cap falling below $4 trillion. We see the trading volume increasing, suggesting that the market in general is in consensus with this dip. And until proven otherwise, guys, we're going to continue to see sell pressure. And what does that mean, guys? Proven otherwise, which means that we need to wait for some sort of market structure that should suggest that we're going to get a reversal to the upside without any clues, without any confluence, without any indications, you know, and a very confluent strategy. Ultimately, guys, you know, the trend is your friend, even on lower time frames. The daily's still bullish, guys, by the way. You know, I'm just talking about lower time frames. I'm talking about maybe the 4-hour and lower. You know, it's not like a big picture pivot that we're seeing here. It is a dip, and of course it is, you know, full of fear at the current moment. And I don't think it's going to be, you know, a long-winded dip. I just feel like ultimately, guys, we need to take advantage of it. You know, that's the reality. Peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows need to be taken advantage of, and we need to be able to shift bearish and bullish depending on market conditions, and that's what would make you a very profitable trader. Ultimately, we don't know. You know, we don't know where the price is going to go. Nobody is a fortune teller. Nobody has a crystal ball to tell you the future. But we do get confluences that we can act upon, and we can prepare ourselves with the thesis, the bearish and the bullish thesis. And we should act upon that thesis depending on the confirmations that we get. And at the current moment, we see that Bitcoin did break down here, down 2.5%. It is on a downturn. We see Ethereum doing the same thing, down 7.2%. It's not looking good. And as we keep on going down, we're going to see a lot of the other altcoins also dipping down. BNB, Solana, you name it, guys, we're down. Now, in the last 24 hours, I would say the average dip is approximately, you know, 7 to 10%. Okay, that's the average dip. And obviously the lower caps are going to be dipping a little bit more. The thing is, if you look at the weekly scenario, the truth is that the majority of the dip is within the last 24 hours for a lot of these guys. Look at Chainlink, for example. You know, in the last 7 days, it's been down 8.8%, but today it's 7.8%, which means only 1% was other days. You know, the last 24 hours represents the majority of the dip, which means that we're in full force, full-fledged right now descent. Now, the question is do we start buying now? Obviously, we don't want to be trying to catch a falling knife, right? We want to be careful with our strategies, with the way we deploy our capital, right? We want to play hard to get with our capital. So there are definitely plenty of strategies to use. You can get in blind, you know, hit some good points of interest in DCA, very lightly, you know, pepper in some capital. But for me personally, not only would I be doing that, but I would ensure that I have capital reserved to deploy as we see a market structure reversal. That's what I want to wait for patiently, because ultimately it's too early to say that we're going to get a reversal. Maybe by tomorrow things might kind of, change and give us a bit of a structure to, put a stop loss in and get into those setups. But as of now, guys, as of today, we're seeing a lot of dips. Guys, if you missed out on my deep dive on a hyperliquid, towards the end, I did give you the details behind the market structure, price action, of course. And guys, it came to, obviously the deep dive was awesome. Got lots of details there, but the cherry on the top was the price action and ultimately the TA that gave us the signal to be careful. And hyperliquid's down approximately 8%, 10% in the last 7 days. And it's not just exclusive to hyperliquid. So I want to just excuse that at the current moment, just to say, like, it's not one project. Everything is down approximately 8%, guys. This is the truth. So we can't be, and as the lower caps, we get into the lower cap territory, they're going to actually even be more dip. The dip is going to be a lot more aggressive. So we have to understand that, ultimately it's not exclusive to one particular project. Look, even Litecoin is coming down. This is the thing, guys, where you have many others. Look at WLFI, World Liberty Financial. Look at this, guys, 17%. Definitely flop. Uniswap 12%. So we do have bigger dips, and as we come down in general, as we come down in market cap, we're going to see a little bit more of that. Pi Network, Arbitrum, dips everywhere, guys. Look at this. Pump Fund, almost 14% to the downside, 25.3% in the last 7 days. Guys, if you've been bullish on Pump Fund, and you're still bullish and you remain bullish, now's the time to put it on a watch list and wait for a market structure shift for a continuation to the upside. And that is, of course, if you're bullish on fundamentals. Caspa's coming down. Many projects are currently looking for their bottom. 11% here on Pudgy Penguins, 9% on Algorand. But again, guys, I'm just going to make it very clear that all of these are dipping for the same reason. Why? Because Bitcoin yesterday was looking a little bit frothy, and risk on assets sell off first, and this is what the market is doing, trying to defend themselves by taking profit and defending themselves based on the potential of Bitcoin rolling over. And we're seeing that, 7%, 10%, Jupiter, 11% for Jupe. Guys, if you're bullish on the Solana narrative and looking for exposure to, a DEX aggregator on Solana, Jupiter's right now on a fire sale, 11% double-digit dip right here. So there's a lot of opportunity here, guys. And that's just the top 100. The reality is, if we get into the lower caps, which we have been doing, I said we're going to talk about Aethir bit by bit. I'm slowly going down the list of market cap, and we're slowly getting into the degen plays. And, this is the reality. The lower the cap, the more risk you take, the more volatility you have to endure and prepare for. And ultimately, it's not just negative, it's also positive. On bullish days, projects that are lower market cap, they outperform the larger caps. But again, we have to wait for those bullish days. Bearish days are meant for accumulating. Bullish days are meant for taking profit. Defense, offense, and back and forth until you ride these peaks and valleys. All right, guys, let's take a look at Aethir. At the end of the day, that's what we want to talk about today. The market is red, so we have to anticipate that lower caps again are going to take a bit of a hit. Aethir right around 6 cents, 6.4 cents, more or less. And Aethir at the end of the day has been doing good. Okay, this is an anomaly. And it just so happened, I'm just slowly going down the CoinGecko and just going down the list and doing by market cap every day. I'm just going to do one by one. Today's Aethir, and it just so happened to be the one that is pumping today. It is what it is, right? So market cap at $765 million market cap. We're getting to the mid cap zone. Definitely. Fully diluted valuation. It's right up there, guys, right? But what's more important is that we have to understand is the total supply and the circulating supply. We're clearly, because the fully diluted valuation in my book is fine. It's not overvalued at the current moment. I think Aethir as a fully decentralized protocol should be really, really bullish ultimately. And, there's a lot of buzz. A lot of people are interested. So it's quite interesting, no doubt, part of that deep pin narrative. However, guys, the fact is tokenomics are still going to be trash for the next little while. And I don't mean trash because it's exclusive to Aethir. It's just that Aethir's new, relatively new enough to suggest that there are going to be token unlocks. There are going to be rewards issued. There are going to be, tokens that are going to still need to be released through vesting schedules and released through the tokenomics that it has in place. So ultimately, as you can see, $12 million 12 million units in circulating supply. You got 42. There's a little bit more that needs to be issued, guys. That's the truth. So the risk of dilution is still there over time. The difference is during a bull run, altcoin season, bullish market, is demand going to outperform supply regardless of these of the sell pressure that these unlocks or the circulating or the distribution is going to provide. Right, as the tokens get distributed, obviously there's sell pressure there, dilution happens. But if demand outperforms supply, nobody cares. And we've seen that many, many times in multiple cycles over and over. Nobody cares. So the truth is that if Aether is bullish, it's going to be bullish, and people will be buying the dip regardless, and unlocks will be bought up real quick. So let's just keep that in mind. That yes, long term, meaning okay, so not long term, but short term, medium term, that's not a good look. Bear market's going to be rough on Aether, okay? Because even in a bear market, those unlocks are still going to happen. The dilution is still going to happen. So bear market's going to be ruthless on Aether. But in the meantime, guys, if we're in a bull run and bullish price action, Aether is a great contender to capture enough market cap within that deep in protocol narrative, right? So this is what we have to understand. So it's part of some interesting narratives, right? Animoca brands and a deep pin, obviously, and some good stuff there for Aether in the short term. Let's take a look at what they got going on socials. Aether powering the future of AI. So what's important here is I refer to this as a cloud compute infrastructure, a decentralized infrastructure. I want to ignore the AI for a second, just to make us understand that ultimately what's bullish behind Aether is that its protocol is decentralized, and its protocol based on compute could easily pivot out of any other narrative that requires that compute. It just so happened that the flavor of the season is AI. Right, so you have to understand if the protocol can handle processing, anything in this industry that requires processing, Aether can handle. It just right now it's focusing on because it's hot, AI because it's hot. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now let's continue going down. We got some good. Let's see what kind of posts they have here. Aether welcomes Chainlink, that's pretty good, to the AI Unbundled Alliance. Very, very interesting because Chainlink is hot, as you guys know, the top oracle in our space. With Chainlink joining the alliance, devs now have access to both premium GPU compute from Aether, obviously, and trusted data layer from Chainlink to build scalable, decentralized AI apps. Guys, that is bullish, right? That's great. When we see these types of relationships being built, especially with smaller projects, Aether's small in comparison to Chainlink. To see these these relationships, that is super, super good. I appreciate that. So, and I'm glad that it's pinned September 16th, so it's fairly new now and relevant. And this is probably why we're seeing some good pumpage in the price action, which we'll get to in a second, guys. I promise you. Let's keep on going down. Tomorrow we celebrate another step towards global GPU access. Okay, that's pretty good. Game publishing is evolving fast with advanced AI functionalities, but these breakthroughs demand massive scalable GPU compute. So their challenge and their approach listed here for everyone to see. Aether, a nice blog announcement. Go check that out. That's pretty good. Advantages, we got Aether building infra backbone for next gen AI gaming. We know that gaming's been a little bit rough in the last little while, but it's good to see that we still understand that GPU and compute, it goes hand in hand with AI and gaming. Right. And, this is something that we need to come to terms with. The GPU demand for GPU power is not just exclusive to AI. It's also for gaming in general. So that's nice to see. What else do we got? DEAI day during. OK, let's see. Aether and our partners, full day of panels. So a little bit of an event there, which is cool. Social events are always great to see the community buzzing and all that good stuff. And a panel happening here, a bit of social, big week ahead, and no doubt it's definitely been pumping. What a week been at Aether, big moves, collabs, of course, that one with Chainlink is obviously great, and so on and so forth, guys. So far so good. Their socials are doing great. I like their activity. Obviously they have a lot to yap about, which is great. A lot to post about means lots of engagement and a lot of community strength and overall support, which is awesome. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about price action, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on with the chart. What is Aether has been up to? And we've seen already that the fundamentals have been quite bullish in the last little while. Guys, look at the price. Nice push to the upside, in fact, confirming a higher high. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, despite what's has been happening in the last 24 hours, there's some projects, like I said, down 10%. There's many of them, guys. More, some even more. Lower cap you go, the more percentages to the downside. And it's not exclusive to one particular project. It's the entire space. But guys, look at Aether. You know, even if the rest of the space is dipping, Aether has no chill. It's holding steady, which is nice. It's nice to see. Now, we must have covered this on a live stream once. You know, I do those requests. You guys know I do requests every single night. Feel free to join, guys, if you have any projects you want me to talk about. And talking about things and getting involved with the community is key. Okay, so feel free to join tonight, and the Discord, of course. It's absolutely free, just as a reminder. But what I'm trying to say here is ultimately the fact that Aether broke out above this order block right here and is now hesitating here could be considered an opportunity, and it could also be considered a bit of a weakness. Personally speaking, when I'm looking for scenarios, I'm looking for volume. That's bullish. I'm looking for, eventually, an exchange of hands, which should represent profit taking. The problem with this, what's happening here is this consolidation is above the previous resistance, which I don't really like because we're getting an exchange of hands so far as we consolidate here right above the resistance, which means if we do not have enough strength for a continuation to the upside, my fear is that we come back into the range and then respect this range again and use the previous range or the top of the range as resistance once again and fall back to the bottom of the range. Guys, tell me you haven't seen this type of price action. It happens all the time, guys. These sweeps, these liquidity hunts, these inducements, these whatever you want to call them, they happen all the time. However, this is the inflection that we're in at the current moment. If we continue going sideways here, although I don't like consolidations that are above resistance, we have an easy invalidation for a long position. Slap a stop loss right underneath, get into the bull flag, get into your position, and let's see if we can test the top of the range right here at the next level of potential psychological resistance. And the reason why I call it psychological is because these tops right here have very little volume. Okay, just psychological. They don't have much volume. There's not a lot of market participation up there. We might have some few whales and big market maker players that want to play the game up there. Guys, that is our competition, no doubt. That's the computer here. It's us versus the computer. But at the end of the day, that's the reality, right? If we can get another pump to the upside, that would be the next target, is to come down to this, to come up to this psychological level based off of the continuation of this bull flag. So we are at a little bit of an inflection because it's like we're hesitating at the worst time ever right after the breakout. The ideal time would be to hesitate before the breakout, get the exchange hands here so we can impulse with strength out of the resistance, but we didn't do it, guys. We're actually hesitating right above resistance, which gives me the indication that I need to be very careful here. And this is why I bring up the possibility of entering along based off of this right here. Let's get the exchange of hands and use it as a structure where we can put that stop loss in for safety. Because right now, where are you going to put a stop loss, guys? If you think about it, if you go long right now, where are you going to put a stop loss? All the way down here? Good luck. That's not the way. That's not the way. Okay, that's too far away. That's a huge dip. You're gambling. Okay, that's the truth. And if you're buying spot, okay, fine. You're buying based on fundamentals. You're buying spot. All good. You just buy spot, take it on the chin if it dips. And I would be looking for, from a bearish perspective, if we do dip, let's talk about that. I would be looking at some points of interest. Let's highlight those for a second. This interests me, for point of interest, okay, because you can see the volume. This is a very, very important level based on market participation. Lots of emotion down there. That is the order block zone with the most market participation that would even classify that as fair value at the current moment. Because look, there's no other, the majority of the buy and selling has been happening there. And they prepared for this breakout all the way at the bottom of the range that we have defined quite earlier on. Okay, so this is something that we have to understand. Now, if we can identify imbalance and opportunity, the real imbalance is here. Let me just show you what I mean. This imbalance right here. This is the value gap, the fair value gap that essentially the price could come and revisit and take full advantage of, which means the top of the volume gap is also an important level, a point of interest. So let me just put another green arrow right here. So first one right here, and then another one right into here. If we could come down to this level and hold this level, right, and maybe hunt some of this liquidity, that's fair game. Right, we can come hunt some of this if we can get some support here and then get that bounce. But guys, to be honest, if we fall through the volume gap, your best entry is down here. But now what you're going to probably say, but Mike, where do I enter? Do I enter both? It's all depending on your strategy. If you want to get super aggressive all at once, wait for a market structure to come down into this area and build. Wait, use these as points of interest. It doesn't mean that you're going to go blindly just slapping buy orders on into this level. Let's see how the market reacts when we get here. If you want a DCA, buy, you can buy the dip into this level, 10% here, 10% here, and just wait. That way you have capital reserved to deploy as the market structure unfolds in this area, if it's going to do that. Right? That's something that we got to concern ourselves with, because we're talking about the bearish scenario. Just keep that in mind, guys. A breakdown from this level. If we come down here, this is the optimal place to look for the change of character in the market structure for a reversal to the upside between here. Okay, so let's see what happens. Now, from a bullish perspective, I cannot get bullish until I get market structure suggesting a continuation, because as of now, we're getting so much volatility throughout the market, and Aethir is actually looking pretty good. It's actually up 8.5% as I speak, while the rest of the market is down an average of 10%. Which, you get what I mean, is it is currently the anomaly of the market, where it is pushing to the upside while the rest are bleeding out. Something to consider. Now let's take a look at oscillators, and then we'll drop to lower time frames. Right now, even as momentum is shifting to the downside, it's very clear that the momentum is pushing down in a bearish way from here to here. As you can see, we're getting a bit of a bounce, guys. It's a reaction at that level. Is it going to be a sustainable reaction? I don't think so. I think that we'll get a bearish response continuation as we see the volatility get oversold. We haven't gotten an EMA cross here yet, and we haven't received not even one little red histogram bar there also, which means that, the trend oscillator, again, guys, it's called Synergy Signal. Both of these oscillators, I got links in the description below if you want to know a little bit more about them. But what I'm saying here is this signal right here is not giving me any bearishness at the current moment. It looks like it might get bearish, but there's no confirmations, no crosses, no red dots, no the expansion. It looks like it's weakening, but it's still nothing very confirmed here. Now, the trend oscillator, the momentum oscillator, is a little different because the volatility is already coming down to the downside, and I'm expecting a continuation down unless we get a Uno reverse right here, which is also quite rare, but it does happen. The green expansion is still here, as you can see in the background. It is tapering off in the last little while. Let me just recenter this so we can see this a bit bigger. You can see that, it is tapering off a little bit here as we see the bearishness of the day, impact a lot of these oscillators, and they're lagging. All oscillators are lagging, but it's still quite bullish. Look, we could still stay overbought a little longer. While the volatility comes down, gets a full reset, I'm curious as to how the Aether price is going to react when this gets a full reset, bounces, and then gets a bullish response. Do we actually stay overbought a little longer and expect Aether to continue to the upside, since it has been showing strength in bearish conditions? That is a sign of strength in my book. So you can see this is actually looking pretty good. When I get into a fresh long right now, I would be waiting for a little bit more structure. If I'm getting into a fresh long right now, just understand you're taking tons of risk. I would be putting a stop loss underneath here and taking my chances. And understand, even on the local, right? Even now on the 6 hour, you're buying the local top, right? That's the truth. You're buying a local top. It's likely to come up to this level. Even if it sweeps the high, who knows, starts to roll over, comes down, makes a lower low. And you can see we have class A bearish divergence on the 6 hour. You get my point, guys. Higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum, and all of a sudden we're playing a little bit of a game where market makers want to come down, perhaps induce you to thinking of for another breakout, gets you to buy on a breakout, and then says no thanks, and then comes down, and we got the accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution to the downside. That's what I worry about. Not to say that it can't continue, but would I be getting into fresh longs on a day right now that it's been showing so much strength in relative to the rest of the space? It's quite risky. Right? It's a random anomaly, and Aether, obviously, fundamentally, I appreciate its fundamentals and its approach and its determination to achieve decentralization. It's just going against the grain for the rest of the market, and that's something that keeps me at bay with regards to trading it and getting involved at the current moment. Okay, guys, so we just got to understand that sometimes it's safer to just sit on your hands and wait to see where the market takes us. If we build more of a structure here, yes, slap the stop loss, let's go long. If we break down and we start to see confirmation lows, lower highs, and lower lows, then, guys, the trend is your friend. It's likely we're going to come down for an ABC correction and potentially get into this point of interest, which is right around 4.5 cents to about 3.7 cents. Okay, so keep that in mind, guys. We're doing pretty good here in this market. Just don't let these red days take you down. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.